Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. I am your host, God of Heroics, and today we have another episode of Dragon Ball News where I find articles and posts all over social media and anywhere that I can find and just bring that information to you guys in a shorter video where I can sort of stuff all that information into one. And we have quite a bit today, some actually rather terrible news and some other stuff just here and there theorizing, some posts that are just for fun and whatnot. So if you like this kind of content, please leave a like, subscribe, and leave a comment saying what you liked, what you didn't like, any critiques, and also ring the notification bell so you can be notified of all future uploads. I'm trying to hit 500 by the end of the year, and I know this is possible because I see people hit 1,000,000 from just like 800K, and they do it in just a few months. So going from 234 to 500 shouldn't be that difficult, so please help me out. And without further ado, let's get started. First things first, just a little bit of a joke. Slow Plays posted on Twitter that he really loves Glorio, and he posted this image where he's cosplaying Glorio. So just a heads up for Friday's review video, I'm just gonna be calling him Slow Plays for the entirety of that video. Next up, Dr. Love, which is their YouTube name also, says, let's say you're one of the Sparking Zero devs and you're releasing a patch today. What's one gameplay mechanic you're nerfing and one that you're buffing? I had an answer for this, and I did not follow the rule of one to nerf and one to buff, but that is okay. There are a lot of answers to this question, including Tendo's answer that says, give me the option to not attack after a vanish and nerf Ki Blast. So I can agree with the first one because there's a tech that I saw where it's Trunks players only. I think it's specifically Z Future Trunks with the sword, where you, if you're in a vanish war, after you vanish, if they vanish behind you, you can actually do a dash or a step in to avoid it. I don't know why he's the only one that can do that. I feel like that should just be a tech for everybody. I would love it if that was something that everyone could do. But as for the nerfing of Ki Blast, I don't even know what kind of nerf you would want Ki Blast to have, but I'm pretty sure it's just because, well, this is stated because whenever people go into sparking mode, they just spam a bunch of Ki Blast and then hit you with their ultimate, especially if their ultimate is like an unblockable one, like Father's Son or Brother's Mega Blaster. So yeah, I can understand why you'd want Ki Blast to be nerfed. Maybe you can only do a certain amount at a time instead of just sort of spamming it over and over. Maybe there'll be like a small cooldown between doing Ki Blast, and that would vary between characters. Like, you know, Goku would probably do like 5, Vegeta would probably do like 10, so, you know, something, because depending on the character, they might be more Ki heavy or Ki Blast heavy. But I can't imagine what kind of change you would make to it that would make that easier. Because if you were doing something like that, Broly's would just get in your face, spam their little 5, 6, 8 or whatever Ki Blast, and then they'd probably like sidestep or dash in to reset that blast or reset the cooldown or something, or they would just like do the Ki Blast and grab you or something. Who knows? They would find some way. Maybe they would just do the Ki Blast and then hit the ultimate right after those 8. Who knows? Yeah, I can't imagine what kind of nerfs you would add to the Ki Blast. So I can't, like, thinking right now, I'm like, there's nothing to really do. And then on top of that, if you nerf the Ki Blast and the way they affect people going and sparking to, you know, get that ultimate in, then you would have to nerf the way Ki Blasts are used to basically counter people that use After a Strike. So it would make After a Strike way easier to spam and utilize the way people were originally, before people decided to start, you know, using Ki Blast to go against it. So if you nerf it in one way to stop one tactic, then you're basically nerfing it in the sense of stopping a different tactic. So it's a catch-22. As for the changes that I would make, there's quite a bit. I made a list of 4, and 2 of these can be tweaked a little bit or maybe looked at a bit. So first, I said Giants cannot tackle spam. I hate the idea of Giants going to sparking mode and just shoulder charging over and over and over and over and over. It's so damn annoying. I hate it. It makes no damn sense. If you don't counter the first one, or you don't get out the way of the first one, there's pretty much nothing you can do about it. And it's just some bullshit you can exploit. I've never really liked the idea of just having a solid cheese gimmick and then just spamming the hell out of it. I mean, like, if that's what you're gonna do, in my opinion, I say do shit like that, like cheese tactics. Do those with your friends, not like, in ranked matches or whatever. I feel like there should be an honor system in ranked matches, but you can't really patch an honor system into a game. So yeah, I would just say make it so that giants would have, like, I don't know, like a 5 to 7 second cooldown on their shoulder charge or something. It sounds egregious, but once they're in, like once a giant is right in front of your face, like, do you really need to shoulder tackle? It's not that serious. Next, I said all explosive wave type ultimates should be blockable, because there are some that are blockable, like you can block future Gohans, but then there's some that are unblockable, like Raccoons, and there's no reason Raccoon should have an unblockable ultimate, especially considering that, one, we didn't even fucking see it in the anime, and two, Raccoon is like not even that high of like a powerful character. Like, he's not a super strong character in the sense of like Kefla, who also has an unblockable explosive wave. So I will say characters like Majin Vegeta, since he pretty much tried to wipe Majin Buu off the face of the planet, his should be unblockable. I'm cool with that. And like Super Saiyan 2 Kefla is being unblockable, I'm cool with that. But people like Raccoon, like you really don't need that to be unblockable. And there's genuinely no reason his should be unblockable. Three, I said make super counters cost one stock, not be unnecessarily frame perfect. So there's a couple of fixes to this. So yes, I personally like trying to make my super counters frame perfect. I've been practicing them. I think there's like a 4 frame window for it, and I've been practicing them. They're not perfect, but they're more consistent than they were when I first started playing the game. That's for damn sure. But I feel like as far as super countering goes, there's a couple ways to do this. Either make it cost like one skill key stock to do, so that it's not spammable, or make it, at least a little bit easier to do, but not without consequence. Or I would say kind of do like you did in BT3, where if you tried to super counter but you failed, then it would lock you out of super countering for like 12 frames, and then you could try again. Or better yet, I feel like this would be a better fix to this issue. Just replace Revenge Counter. Like, Revenge Counter does have its place in the game, kind of, but all in all, Revenge Counter is not really utilized that much, and then the idea of Super Perception kind of negates Revenge Counter anyway, so I feel like there is a way where you can make it work. Like, let's say, for example, Revenge Counter from in front was the little backflip and the punch, while the Revenge Counter from behind would be a super counter, and both, let's say, both can be can be blocked with super perception, and it could be different animations or the same animation. Who cares? But there would be ways to counter it, but there would also be a way to utilize it that's not necessarily using a super counter, because the way super counter is now, for people that really have super counter down packed, there's no real reason to use revenge counter, because then you're just using two key stocks that could go towards using a skill or charging all the way to sparking mode, and you're pretty much using those two just to break a combo. But if you know how to super counter, then you can just super counter for free. It costs nothing. All you have to do is get your little frame perfect mechanic. And for people that know how to do it in those 4 frames consistently, it costs nothing. And in my opinion, it is very skillful. But the way it also is, you can kind of just spam the mechanic for a super counter and still get the super counter. So yeah, I'd rather have some kind of way to balance it. My fourth fix would just be for Vanish Wars, because when people have like a lot of key, especially if they're both like damn near full, Vanish Wars is for people that know how to vanish consistently, like myself and Lotus and Afro, Rhyme Style. It just becomes a battle of just two people just vanishing over and over and over and over and over for like 2 to 5 minutes, and it's so boring. And considering that there are a lot of mechanics in this game that can be vanished, it just turns into a vanish where, and like, that's basically half the game. Games are just gonna be. I said this in one of Lotus's streams. If people quote unquote get good at the game, like a lot of people complain about super counters and vanish wars, and then people are just just be good at the game and you'll be fine. Yeah, if a lot of people got good at the game, quote unquote, with vanishes and super counters, then that's what you would see all the time. Like, every game would just be super counters, vanishes, super counters, vanishes, and you would never get anything done. So Well, as far as Vanishes, I would say, in my opinion, in order to make it a little more challenging, I would just say to decrease the vanish window, just make it shorter. Every maybe vanish, every vanish, or maybe every two vanishes. Like, maybe make it a 6 frame, and then after one or two vanishes, make it a 5 frame, and then a 4 frame, and all the way down to 1 frame until I mean, because hitting a 1 frame perfect vanish every time, that's not gonna happen. We're humans. That's not gonna fucking happen. But moving away from this post, I spent way too long on this. Modders are allegedly going to be getting banned. I know that there's this thing where people that rage quit a lot can get banned, or at least it'll decrease their connection rate, so they only get connected with other people that rage quit instead of ruining it for everyone else. And eventually they do get banned. But apparently modders are going to be getting banned, and I'm not certain why that's a thing, because from what I've seen, modders are just making texture mods, which is just changing the way the character looks. None of them are modding anything that cheats the system. I haven't, at least not that I've seen. I haven't seen anybody like add new moves or cheat the system in some way with like infinite health or more health bars or anything like that, or like higher defense. I haven't seen anything like that. I've just seen texture mods, and I think it's crazy that they'd be banning people for this, because like there are people that have been modding like fucking fighters for like the longest. There have been tons of people that mod fighters with texture mods and even like new movesets and stuff like that. Then there are people that have been modding Xenoverse too, with a lot of the same thing. In fact, a lot of the Xenoverse people have been straight up cheating when they mod, like making their characters invincible or having like different moves that one-shot people and stuff like that. So it's crazy to me that Sparking Zero modders that just do textures are getting banned, but everybody else is just perfectly fine. I think the Xenoverse people have been attacked, but I mean, even in one of C-React's more recent videos that came out like sometime this year, he ran into a modder that was cheating. So I mean, apparently they're not on top of it as they're trying to be for Sparking Zero. So I just think that's weird. But in better news, Japan has labeled Dragon Ball the greatest anime of all time. So, at very least, the very minimum, in Japan, Dragon Ball, the entire franchise, is goated. It's literally the GOAT, the greatest of all time, as far as, the anime itself goes. I mean, I want to assume it's everything, like the manga included, but I mean, just in general, as far as its influence and everything, it's considered the GOAT, and I love that. Last thing that I'm going to mention here, there is an article that I read earlier today that has been giving unfortunate news. Apparently, Sparking Zero is down players, a lot of players, and it's mostly due to like a lot of the cheese and a lot of the mechanics and stuff that people hate. And it really bugs me to see the game take this nosedive, especially like if you look here. This image shows that the game capped out in the last 28 days at 122,000, and currently, at least when this article was made, it's just a little over 5,000, just shy of 6,000. It's really hurting. You can actually see the decline, like the downward slope. Not really a fan of the game taking that kind of nosedive. It really does bug me kind of, because I do like to see this game succeed, especially since it's one of my favorite games, a game that I've been asking for in existence for the longest. But this article basically says it says that when it launched, the game was released with 87% score, 4.5 out of 5, and it sold 3 million copies in 24 hours. But currently, it's not beating even Street Fighter 6 numbers, which is about 70.5k. Yeah, I'm really hurt that this is the case. I really wish people would get back into it, but it says, furthermore, it says this is particularly due to major balancing issues, particularly with Yajirobe, and players who abuse broken mechanics and an influx of cheaters and exceedingly difficult story, single-player battles, in the story. In my opinion, I'm gonna talk about this by step. Major balancing issues. There are things that they worked on that they fixed, and then there's stuff that they claim they will be fixing. As I've talked about in one of my previous videos when the Yajirobe patch first came out. I'm gonna link that in the description. And As far as like broken mechanics and stuff, I assume this is what they're talking about, like the super counters and the vanishing wars, and then Broly's that basically spam key blast and then hit you with an unblockable. Yeah, I can understand that. Cheaters, I'm not entirely certain. Maybe that's still referring to like the key blast to unblockables, maybe, or even like the after a strike issue people are having with the Yajirobe thing. The character is still very well playable. People are just mad that they can't get the free two skill stocks at the beginning and then get a free Senju Bean after it charges up 3 times. Like you guys are just complaining about basically nothing. As far as balancing the game, I feel like there's no way to really balance it in a competitive way, and it really shouldn't be balanced in a competitive way. But when they said that the game wasn't going to be balanced, I think what they were saying, which I keep saying and everybody keeps saying, or every smart person keeps saying, is what we wanted, or what they were saying the game wasn't going to be balanced is because they don't want to make every character relative to every character. The DP system straight up shows you that some characters are far more powerful than others, and that's how it should be. Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta should not be relative in power to Videl, but if you can play Videl and use her skills and get around a Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta player, that also does not mean that Videl is as strong or as buff as Gogeta. It just means that you outplayed your opponent. By not balancing the game or not balancing the characters, what they mean is really powerful characters are going to be represented as really powerful in the game, while weaker characters are going to be represented as weaker in the game. So the changes to Yajirobe was to make him weaker, to make him fit being a 2 DP cost character, rather than giving him skills and health that would reflect that of a 3-point or a 4-point, which is why they worked him the way they did. Again, I believe only 2 out of his 3 changes were necessary, but I'm not the developers. They do what they do. But as far as the single battle difficulty, that's just y'all. Just like I know I said the thing earlier about getting good, but get good. No, seriously, just get good. Like when you're first starting the game and the Sand Saga, you cannot expect Jiren's battle in the Tournament of Power to be as equally easy as Raditz' fight. The game gets harder. You're playing a Dragon Ball Z game where the game will get harder as you progress through the story and through the game. It's called getting power crept. That's how anime works. The enemies are power creeping. Like your characters are doing that too. Like you Goku gets a certain amount of strength. The villain pops up, training, getting stronger, getting their ass beat, learning from their mistakes, and they get stronger. Just do that. Just get better at the game. Like when I first started, a lot of people were complaining that the Goku Black Saga had hard battles, and when I first tried it, yes, they were difficult. That's because I had just started the game and I had practiced enough to get really good at it. But now I can go into that battle and just basically mollywop Trunks, Goku, and Vegeta. And when I went to the Jiren battle, it was difficult because you're one guy fighting like teams of 4, teams of 5. But at the end of the day, it's not impossible, especially because Jiren has meditation. Jiren has meditation, that which is a heal, and freaking Goku Black has Audacious Laugh, which is an auto spark. So honestly, just get good at the game and utilize what you have. There's no point in complaining that the game has hard story mode or hard story mode missions. Just get better and beat those missions. It's not that difficult. It's really not that difficult. You guys are just complaining because you want things to come by easy. And a lot of gamers have been doing this forever. Like, look at Overwatch. A lot of the reworks and changes that were in that game was because a lot of people that played competitive didn't want to adjust it to different play styles to be able to win. They just complained that they kept getting hit with these same tactics. Instead of changing it, they complained until the game got changed. It happens all the time. It's a tale as old as time. But that's just what you get with online games and gaming in general. Anyway, that's pretty much going to do it for this video. I did have another article lined up, but this video is almost 20 minutes, so that article is pretty much going to get a video on its own. Please like the video, subscribe to the page, hit the notification bell so you can be notified as to all future uploads. And please help me hit 500 by the end of the year if you can. And I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.